Some people say blood is thicker than water, but what happens when the person who raised you becomes your greatest enemy? What if I told you that telling one lie about money would expose the darkest truth about someone I trusted most? This is how I turned my stepmother's greed into her own destruction, and why she'll never see it coming until it's too late. The vault was gone. So was Elena. And sprawled across my pristine bedsheets lay a crumpled note written in her distinctive cursive. I invested everything in raising you, so I'm entitled to collect my dividends. I stood motionless, staring at the empty corner where my biometric safe once sat, the hardwood floor now bearing only the faint outline of its weight. She believed she'd stolen $400,000. What she didn't realize was that she'd just signed her own death warrant. Our relationship hadn't always been toxic warfare. When Dad married Elena 12 years ago, I desperately craved her acceptance. Perfect grades, zero rebellion, absolute compliance. I molded myself into her ideal stepchild. She orchestrated every aspect of my existence like a puppet master, calling it guidance while I recognized it as imprisonment. "Without me you'd have nothing," became her daily mantra, each word designed to remind me of my supposed debt to her generosity. But I settled every account. Scholarships funded my education, multiple jobs sustained me, and I never requested handouts. Yet Elena maintained her surveillance. Whenever I accumulated savings, she'd interrogate, "What's that money for?" When I declined her borrowing requests, she'd whisper guilt-laden reminders, "Considering everything I've sacrificed." She hadn't raised a daughter. She'd cultivated a personal ATM she assumed she could access whenever convenient. Last month, I deliberately mentioned the safe during dinner. Elena was mechanically stirring honey into her chamomile tea, 3 precise rotations clockwise. Always the same ritual. I spoke casually, as if the information held no significance. Finally reached my 400,000 goal, all secured in the new biometric vault. Her stirring ceased for exactly 2 seconds. That microscopic hesitation revealed everything I needed to know. I anticipated her next moves perfectly. Her tone shifted subtly. Forced smiles replaced genuine ones. Mysterious phone conversations occurred behind closed doors, and she began lingering outside my bedroom under the pretense of cleaning. Then one evening, both Elena and the safe vanished simultaneously. She hadn't even attempted discretion, simply abandoning that pathetic note as if I'd understand her logic. But I was smiling because that safe contained nothing valuable. Only counterfeit bills, rubber-banded stacks of worthless paper, and a GPS tracking device. Months earlier, I'd relocated the legitimate money into diversified digital investments. The safe was elaborate bait, designed to test Elena's true character. I'd grown exhausted by her manipulation tactics, guilt campaigns, fabricated emergencies, and especially that incident where she opened credit accounts using my identity. The tracker signal originated from an abandoned warehouse across state lines. Upon arrival, Elena had fled, but the safe remained in a deteriorating pickup truck, forcibly opened and completely emptied. Fake currency littered the vehicle like confetti from a twisted celebration. More importantly, Elena's smartphone lay forgotten on the floorboard, still unlocked and automatically syncing to cloud storage, containing enough incriminating evidence to destroy her completely. I spent 48 hours methodically collecting her text conversations with someone named Marcus, discussing her plans to finally collect payment for raising that entitled brat. Screenshots of my banking applications she'd secretly photographed. Images of my safe, bedroom identification documents, and most damning, a voice recording where she rehearsed a story about my mysterious disappearance and her need for emergency fund access. Elena wasn't merely planning theft. She intended to erase my existence entirely. So I remained silent, allowing her to believe victory was hers while I systematically filed identity theft charges, secured restraining orders, and distributed evidence to every family member and mutual acquaintance who'd ever believed her loving stepmother performance. I attached that voice recording to each email. 3 days later, Elena returned, knocking innocently as if nothing had transpired. Her smile seemed hollow, her eyes betraying desperation. "We should talk," she suggested. I stepped aside, letting her witness the safe return to its original position, gaping open and mocking her failure. She looked at me pleadingly. I made an error in judgment. I stared back unflinchingly. No, you made a calculated choice. Then I presented her with legal documentation, restraining orders, comprehensive evidence files, and pending lawsuit papers. Her complexion drained completely. Her voice cracked. You're really going to destroy your own stepmother? I nodded once. You already destroyed yourself. As she retreated, something fundamental shattered behind her eyes, and I closed the door definitively. 6 months have passed. The lawsuit continues progressing. Elena attempted damage control, claiming I fabricated evidence and questioning my mental stability, but her efforts proved futile against overwhelming documentation and irrefutable proof. People assume revenge requires dramatic confrontation. Mine was silent, legal, and surgically precise. Elena thought she was stealing my money, but she actually removed the final mask concealing her true nature. And honestly, that revelation was worth every single dollar.